It's March, but the madness is far from over. The Bruins are just a few weeks away from their fourth consecutive trip to the Robertson Cup playoffs after splitting a weekend against the Minot Minotauros this past weekend. Up ahead, the Bruins take the trip to Minot for the final weekend of the regular season against the Minot Minotauros. Hello, everybody. David Coyer welcoming you back to another episode of the Austin Bruins Coaches Show. Joining me this week, assistant coach Robby Murray. Robby, how you doing? It feels like it's been a while since you've been on the Coaches Show.
It has feel like it's been a little bit, but I'm doing good, man. It's good to see you. And thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And, we do the rotation. We do the every other. So it's Coach Howard, then it's you, Coach Howard, Coach Rooney, and I think that's why it always seems so long in between when we have you and Al on here because, we see Howie twice as much as you guys, so it feels like it's been a minute since we've had you on the Coaches Show, but welcome back. As I mentioned, March Madness, it was, a little play on words. We obviously, it's not part of the hockey season, but March Madness, college basketball is upon us. I'm not sure if people know. They know you're from North Carolina. Not sure if they know where your allegiances lie. There's two pretty big schools in North Carolina. Both of them made the tournament this year, but one of them's not in the tournament anymore.
Unfortunately. My mom went as a UNC Chapel Hill grad, so go Tar Heels. Always rooting for them, and didn't be a great tournament for them. Not sure if how they should have gotten in, but they did not take care of business, so now just rooting for Duke to lose.
Rooting for Duke to lose. So for any of you who have Duke winning your March Madness brackets, if they don't, you know who to blame. I don't have a horse in the race anymore either. I'm a Western Illinois grad, and Western Illinois didn't even make their conference tournament this year in men's basketball, so I didn't even have to worry about them potentially making the NCAA tournament. Never have made it in school history. They were very close. I believe that was my sophomore year making it, but go Leathernecks on that. But both teams from Wisconsin. I don't watch basketball, so I really could not care less about who win. I didn't even fill a bracket out this year, but Wisconsin lost to BYU this past weekend. Marquette lost in the opening round. So we're both sad right now for the college basketball tournament that neither of us were watching. But we're here to talk hockey, as we always are. And I mentioned that the Bruins splitting with the Minot Minotauros this last weekend, a huge weekend split, still battling for one of the top two spots in the Central Division portion of the Robertson Cup playoffs, trying to get that home ice advantage, battling it out with Minot and Bismarck. Bismarck pulling away a little bit this weekend with 4 straight wins against the St. Cloud Norsemen, but we're focusing on the games that happened here. We'll start with Friday, a 3-1 loss to the Toros, first time that Minot has come to Austin since the beginning of October. There were really 2 plays that stood out in Friday's loss against Minot. It was those 2 crucial turnovers that led to Gavin Middendorf on a 1-on-0 breakaway that ended up scoring on Jack Solomon. Break down those 2 plays because they were both fairly identical and really were the changing point in the game.
Yeah, both of them kind of came from, us kind of trying to get to our game. I think you look at the first one, we get in on the forecheck, we're able to get the puck. Actually started with his own entry. We enter in the zone, miss the net, able to get the puck low to high, able to get the puck with 3 guys at the top, which we like to do, and just end up kind of making a blind pass that we don't make here and ends up getting picked off and going the other way. The second one, just kind of have the puck in the corner. We think we have a lane. We look away, not sure. We think we have a lane. It's still there. We try it. Kind of stared it down a little bit. They picked it off. They had a guy coming out of the boxes. There's only a couple seconds left on our power play. Turns into another breakaway, but they're a good team. Like, you give them look chances like that, especially their leading goal scorer on a breakaway, 2 breakaways. He's going to have success. So
Middendorf ended up getting the hat trick on an empty net goal later in the game. The first one happens, and it's, okay, that's a mistake. We have to learn from it. We have to push through. It's a 1-0 game. When the second goal happens, and it's the same thing, a breakaway, how do you, as a coach or even the Bruins coaching staff as a whole, really react to that when you see, all right, the first one, it's a mistake. We got to clean it up. Sometimes mistakes happen, a costly one at that. But then when it happens a second time, what's the mood on the bench after that?
The mood is, especially the way it happened, is one where like these games at the end of the year, they're especially against Minot and Bismarck and teams that are in the playoffs or making a playoff push. When that mistake happens the first time, it is a mistake. Like, we're playing well, we like some of the things that we're doing. You don't want that mistake to take away too much from how your team's playing the game and it become a distraction and throw you off. But you also want to make sure, hey, like, we can't make blind passes in the gray areas on the blue line. When it happens again the second time, we just kind of cracked down a little bit harder on it, and we were doing some good things, and so just making it clear on, hey, we have to manage the puck. We got to take care of the puck. Can't turn the puck over in high areas of the offensive zone, and just try to make sure that doesn't happen the third time. And I think that we did a solid job with that, as we didn't give up a third breakaway. Fortunately, we did give up two, but it didn't happen an additional time.
Now looking at a few positives, the lone goal scored on Friday, a power play goal by Ashton Bynum, who went on to be named the Central Division's third Star of the Week by the North American Hockey League. His first Star of the Week honors this season. But a power play goal, power play unit, another strong showing this weekend, going 3 for 8 on the weekend with that power play goal. Heading into the weekend, Minot, one of the top PK units in the not only the division, in the league. They're sixth, or they entered the weekend sixth among North American Hockey League teams in penalty kill. Just a great unit in a Central Division that has a lot of top PK units. What sets Minot's penalty kill apart from some of the other teams that the Bruins see in the Central Division?
The biggest thing that we really see from looking at it is they do a really great job of putting numbers in the danger areas. Like, you want to get inside the dots. You want to get under the top of the circles. That's the most dangerous area to score goals. That's where all the goals are scored. And they do a really good job of, even though they're down a guy, making sure they have 3 guys in the house. So when you're trying to, get PKs to move a little bit and open up space in the house to generate something, generate a grade A look, they got 3 guys in there, and there's not a lot of space in general out there. So, when they do a great job of that, of making sure that, hey, we're gonna have 3 guys in the house, and you're gonna have to figure something else out.
And so, what then led to Bynum being able to beat the penalty kill, I guess, if you will?
You look at that goal, as we were fortunate to get a 5-on-3, and that's something as a PK or as a team that's you have 3 guys against 5, and you're going against another team's top 5 best players. It's something hard, and they killed off a lot of that 5-on-3. The difference was, with us having that extra 2 guys now, EJ Paddington had a great screen in the net front. He was able to get in the goalie's eyes, make him look one way. Ashton Bynum shot the other way, and was able to get it in.
And one guy, we talk about how great of a PK unit that Minot has, and one guy I think who really contributes to that is their netminder, Lucas Svedin. Svedin has been top 5, top 4 really all season long in goals against average among North American Hockey League goalies. And on Friday, 50 saves on 51 Bruins shots. It was the power play goal, the only one that beat him. I guess Friday night, really, aside from Middendorf scoring a hat trick, Svedin really was the MVP, I feel, for that Minot team. And the Bruins are not done seeing him yet. I'm sure he'll be in net this weekend for Minot. Talk about Svedin and his presence in net. The Bruins have had some success against him this year, swept the Minot back in December. Svedin was in net for both of those, but he also now has 2 wins against the Bruins in decidedly fashion.
Yeah, he's obviously a smaller goalie, and I think that makes him play with a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder, because he is a competitor. And then in addition to that, he has really high hockey IQ as a goalie, able to anticipate plays to make sure he's on time. His ability to make himself big in the net despite his size, he does a really good job of that. And then when you combine that with, Minot, how they defend, where they're making it hard to get stuff inside the danger areas, inside the dots, below the top of the circles. They do a really good job boxing out. I think, we had a couple times we created something, and, then Minot had a great box out where they tied up our sticks and we weren't able to get a touch on it. And or even if the D bought Svedin an extra second or two to get there. And when you have that combination of a smart goalie who takes away a lot of the net, who competes, and then you throw a team that defends away, that you're going to shoot from the outside, you're going to have your stick tied up in the net front. It's a combination that makes it hard to score goals.
And there was a huge difference between Friday night's performance. Well, I say that, and even on the air this weekend, I said a big difference. It almost felt like a 180 for the Bruins, but it truly didn't feel like a complete 180 because, as we mentioned, 51 shots on goal Friday night. It felt like the Bruins' offense was still rolling, just not being able to find the back of the net. Svedin had himself a night, but you look to Saturday night. You mentioned how Minot's able to box out in front of the net, and I think the difference we saw Saturday night was that there was more of a net front presence by the Bruins offense, which led to a 5-0 shutout victory over the Toros on Saturday night. Talk about that difference in net front presence from the offense. I mean, all 5 goals really seemed to stem from a lot of Bruins surrounding the crease, really putting the pressure on Svedin, who ended up getting pulled out of the game after the first period.
Yeah, I think, you look at both games and, felt both games were similar. Even though Game 1, we lose 3-1. Game 2, we end up winning 5-0. It's said all the time, it's, hockey's a game of mistakes. You're going to make them. We're going to make them. They're going to make them. Every team's going to make them. Players are going to make some. And part of it's who can make the less mistakes. The other part of it is who can capitalize on other teams' mistakes. And I think that was a big difference between Friday and Saturday night is, we made 2 mistakes. They capitalized on them. They're a good team. They got some good players. They're going to force us to make mistakes, and they have the opportunity, they have the skill and the talent to capitalize on them. Then I think, it's the same boat for us. Like coming into Saturday night, and you look at the game, I think 3 of our 5 goals were scored in a 5-minute span at the end of the first. Both teams, once again, they're going to make mistakes, and I think we were able to capitalize them in that wave, and that kind of really helped us out, scoring those 3 goals and put us in a position the rest of the game where we're playing with the lead. And, especially looking at the teams in our division, like every team in this division can play with the lead. You look at them on Friday night, they have the lead, they play with it, they keep the lead. Look at us, kind of Saturday night, the same thing happening at Bismarck. They had the lead, they play with it. We have the lead, we play with it. So, it just kind of came down to just a game of mistakes when there's not a lot of mistakes that happen here at this time of year, and just came down to who can capitalize on whose mistakes.
Talk about the attitude of the players Saturday night. It felt like they really, truly started coming together as if to say that they've treated these last couple of weeks as if they are playoff games because they've had that playoff feel. 4 straight games against Bismarck. Those were all really a playoff feel. The 2 games last week against Aberdeen. I mean, Aberdeen right now is in that 4th place spot. If the season ended today, they'd be in the Robertson Cup playoffs. And, of course, these 4 games against Minot, it could easily be the first-round matchup of that Central Division Robertson Cup playoffs between the Bruins and the Toros in whoever has the 2 or 3 seed. But fighting till the end, fighting really until that buzzer hits 0. Specifically, you mentioned the last couple of goals in those final 5 minutes. Specifically, Luke Malkasian's goal, half a second left. I mean, as a coach, what's your reaction now heading into the locker room, not with a 3-0 lead, a 4-0 lead, because, well, they still fought until that buzzer hit 0?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the competitiveness that we have in our group, and I think that, we have competitors in there and that want to play the whole 60 minutes. Whether we're up, whether we're down, whether we're up by a lot or down by a lot, whether it's tied, having guys that get up for that and are excited to play that. And, Minot does too. Bismarck does too. Aberdeen does too. All the teams in our division do too, especially those teams that fight for home ice advantage, fighting for first place, fighting to get in the playoffs. And, when you have an ozone draw, it's something that is exciting. Like, you get a chance to score. The net's right there. You can see it. Even just that face-off dot, you get a shot from there. It's a good place to shoot. When that happens and with that much time left, if you feel you want good things to happen, and it was just a draw that we tried to run something off of. It didn't work out. End up retrieving a puck. That's that competitiveness, and able to get to the net, and able to take advantage of something late that helped us out for the rest of the game.
We keep talking about the Robertson Cup playoffs coming up. While the Bruins aren't in a set spot in that seeding, again, still fighting. They technically are still in the running for the number one seed in the Central Division. We don't know when the Bruins will be playing at home, but they are guaranteed at least one home playoff game. You can start getting your tickets now at tickets.austinbruins.com. Don't miss out on getting those playoff tickets. We need Riverside rocking. The boys always say how much they feed off the energy of the crowds. Been having a lot of great crowds as of late and been getting some wins, and that is thanks in part due to the great crowds here at Riverside Arena. So again, tickets.austinbruins.com. Still two more home games as well against the North Iowa Bulls and the Minnesota Mallards. As we get kind of close here to the end of this edition of the Coaches Show, one thing that I feel like I bring up almost every episode, or at least every other episode, is the goaltending for the Bruins. And ever since early December when Carl Axelson joined the Black and Gold, and then Jack Solomon left, went to Sioux Falls for a little bit, but once he came back, we talked about just the dominance in net for the Bruins and the 1-2 punch that they have. And Coach Howard has always said it's not a number one goalie, a number two goalie. The Bruins are blessed with a 1A and 1B in Carl Axelson, Jack Solomon. A couple stats for you here before we get your thoughts on how they've been performing. Carl Axelson, a 1.74 goals against average. That's now fourth among North American Hockey League goalies. He had 20 saves in his fifth shutout on Saturday. Jack Solomon, unfortunately, getting the loss on Friday, but still a 1.85 goals against average this year. Sixth among North American Hockey League goalies. He had 26 saves on Friday. The two of them combined for 10 shutouts this year. Both of them are one shutout away from setting the single-season shutout record for the Bruins. I guess the easiest way to put this is having that 1A, 1B punch, especially this late in the season headed into the playoffs. How nice is that as a coaching staff to have, where you know that on any given night you can put either of them in there, they're going to perform their butts off and really put the Bruins in a position to win?
It's a great thing to have, and we're very lucky to have that. I mean, when you don't have to rely on a goalie to play 45 games out of your 59, he's able to be a little physically fresher, but also mentally fresher. And when your group of forwards and defensemen have significant confidence in both your guys, no matter who's in net, that we're gonna have a really good chance to win that night. It's just something that allows both of them to be better because they're a little fresher. But something that you see in our group of when those guys are in the net, they have, they really believe we had a chance to win every single night, and that they're going to execute. And when you, especially, I was a defenseman, so you're a defenseman, you got a goalie back there. You're playing a little more with a little more jump. You're playing with a little more confidence because once again, talking about mistakes, you're a little more, not necessarily willing to make a mistake, but you're not playing with that fear of making one because you have a guy back there that has your back. And I think same thing with the forwards, allows you to try to create a little more offensively, knowing that, hey, if I make a mistake, I got a guy back there I got somebody in the net that's got my back. And and they've had both of those, the D and the forwards groups backed, and I hope that the forwards and D have had their back. I like to think that, but they're been lights out back there, and we're super lucky to have both of them.
And one final question for you as we wrap up this Coaches Show. After the Bismarck series, there were 11 games left in the season, and I think the message in the locker room was that the Bruins wanted to go at least 9-2 in the last 11, really to put themselves in a position to try and get that number one seed, or at most still get that number 2 seed and home ice advantage. Since then, the Bruins have gone, let's see, that's 4-1 across the last 5 games, still putting them in a position to potentially go 5-1 in these next 6 games to put them in that potential spot for home ice advantage. Of course, a perfect 6-0 is the ideal situation. What does the team have to do to fulfill that goal of going 9-2 in the last 11, or potentially at this point now going 10-1?
I think, we really think it starts with, even though we put that in perspective with them and just showed them, hey, this is the big picture, that it just starts with taking things day by day. Like, at the end of the day, we can't hit that 5-1 if we don't go 1-0. And so it's just focusing on, tomorrow at practice, focusing on Friday, and having that mentality throughout the rest of the regular season, because, just like, you said, is we're not set in where we are in the standings, and we want to be ready to go for playoffs, and but we can't be too distracted by the fact that, hey, playoffs are in 6 games. Start thinking about the Cup, start thinking about playoffs. No, we got to be focused in the here and now, and we want home ice advantage, and but so does Minot, and so we got to go up there and be ready to go tomorrow in practice, and Thursday in practice, and Friday, and battle it out with them.
And the final 6 games of the season start this weekend. 2 games on the road in Minot, 2 big games on the road in Minot. You can catch all the action this weekend on NAHLTV.com. I'll be on the call for both games, 7:35 puck drop, or you can head on over to the official road game destination of the Austin Bruins, Lansing Corners. They'll have them on the TV there as well. So grab a couple friends, head on over to Lansing Corners, and enjoy some Austin Bruins hockey. The Bruins are back at home, as you can see there on your screen, Saturday, April 5th against the North Iowa Bulls. Puck drop 7:05 p.m. for Billet Appreciation Night, and then it's Fan Appreciation Night on April 11th. $5 tickets for everybody for the entire night. So come on out, pack Riverside Arena for the last home game of the regular season, as the Bruins are hoping to try and finish as the regular season champions in the Central Division, or at least get that home ice advantage by getting that number 2 seed. So the path begins this weekend in Minot. Coach, thanks for joining me on another edition of the Coaches Show, and I guess we're all rooting against Duke, right?
Go Heels.
Go Heels. Rooting against Duke. Enjoy the rest of your March Madness with your brackets, but of course enjoy the Bruins hockey this weekend. We'll see you in a couple weeks here on the Austin Bruins Coaches Show.